The RG552 is Ambernic's latest handheld, and it's one I have personally held off reviewing because, in all honesty, I was really disappointed at first. It didn't feel like an Ambernic product, and due to the massive amounts of competition released over the last few months, I think it's a really good time to review it and give you my perspectives of this newish handheld. I will be primarily reviewing the RG552 in this video, but I'd also like to touch on Ambernic as a company too. So let's jump into it. For those of you that are new to the handheld scene, Ambernic launched in 2017, about that, with a goal of creating high-end products for retro gamers, and over the years they have produced some phenomenal handhelds. For example, the RG351 MP was our favourite handheld of 2021. It matched superb build quality with reliable performance at an affordable price. But now it seems like Ambernic has completely changed their target audience. With their ever-increasing prices of their handhelds, the launch of this larger RG552, and the rumours that they are releasing a handheld PC this year, it's obvious that they want to maximise their profits, and with that comes the possibility of cutting corners, annoying their current community, and making their handhelds difficult to understand for newcomers. For me, personally made Ambernic so great over the last 12 months is the fact that they owned their niche, created superb portable handhelds, and made it easy for all types of retro gamers to understand. But the RG552 takes a step back from this, and it worries me to think that Ambernic could be biting off more than they can chew. Firstly, the RG552 retails for around about $230, making it their most expensive handheld yet. Out of the box, it does feel like an Ambernic product. It has that boxy look, flat shoulder buttons, and their signature back rubbers to give you some grip when playing and so that it doesn't slide off surfaces. The RG552 features a 1.8 GHz hexa-core RK3399 CPU, a Mali T860 GPU, 4GB of RAM, 6400 mAh of battery, and a 5.3-inch touchscreen display with a resolution of 1920 by 1152. This is a significant upgrade from their smaller handhelds, which entices gamers into more powerful emulation. Ambernic has always struggled to emulate Dreamcast well, and with this new chip, it's possible to get that level of emulation here, which is great. Before I do jump into performance, I want to take a look at the RG552's design. It's incredibly simple, and if I were to put you in a room full of handhelds, it's likely that you wouldn't remember the RG552 at all. For me personally, I don't mind simple, especially if it's sleek and portable, but unfortunately the size of the RG552 makes it impossible to fit into normal sized pockets, so I found myself putting it in my backpack when I want to take it out. And with that in mind, I wonder why Ambernic didn't add flared shoulder buttons or a more comfortable curved shell. I get why they did this with their smaller handhelds because they needed it to be pocket friendly, but they could have made the RG552 much more comfortable if they reconsidered using the same shoulder buttons, the same grips, and the same buttons as their previous handhelds. I get it, it's to save money obviously, but it would have been nice to see a different design from Ambernic, as this one feels like a brick, which you don't want to be spending $230 on a brick. That being said, it does feel like a durable handheld. Ambernic has always created sturdy products, and I can confidently say that the RG552 can take many bumps and bruises without problems at all, making it a great fit for those of you that use handhelds a lot on the go. The buttons used are very high quality, the analog sticks are identical to that of the Nintendo Switch, and I like that they used a metallic plastic shell, even if I wish they had extra colours to choose from. I also have no problems with the screen used. It has a high resolution, great brightness, and the touchscreen is incredibly sensitive too. The last thing you want on a handheld is a screen that can't detect touch correctly. The longer I spend with the RG552, the more I dislike the overall design. It's far too brick-like, and I keep coming across annoying features that could have been easily solved. For example, I have a problem with the headphone jack being located on the top, not at the bottom, because my headphones, when plugged in, have to wrap around the back of the handheld and up to my ears. Secondly, I find myself accidentally turning down the volume a lot. This is due to the volume buttons on the side being exactly where my hands press up against. The on and volume up buttons are just high enough so that they're not a problem, thank God, but this is incredibly annoying at times. And thirdly, the bloody shoulder buttons are just far too basic and boring. Yes, they work, but they're nothing revolutionary. And on a handheld of this price, there needs to be higher quality, more comfortable shoulder buttons, period. Overall for me, the design of the RG552 is a little disappointing. Nothing screams wow. It just looks like any other basic handheld without any kind of character. The Retroid Pocket 2 Plus, which is a $99 handheld, has more character than the RG552. Heck, even the Mayu Mini does. So why Ambernic decided to simplify it, I do not know, especially when there's no means for it to be sleek and portable if it isn't pocket friendly. Take a look at the Odin handheld I reviewed not long ago, for example. That's taken design to a whole new level with its ergonomic grips, LED lights and flared shoulder buttons, and that's only $60 more than the RG552. Now, before my blood boils, let's move on to performance. Depending on where you buy the RG552, it will either be loaded with Android or Linux. Both are a pain in the backside and both come with a wide number of problems to begin with. For example, the Android OS will not come with Google Play Store, so you'll need to download the APK files and install it yourself. The same goes with any of your emulators you want. You'll need to then go into the App Store and start downloading them. It runs on an old version of Android 7 too. It's reliable for sure, but I'm always worried that in a year or two the OS will be sloppy and that it will retract from the overall gaming experience of the handheld. The only benefit of using an Android OS is that the user interface is nicer to look at and you get a bit more customization options. The Linux OS is a lot easier to get on with though, and it already comes loaded with your emulators, meaning you simply have to install your ROMs onto an SD card to get going. But with that said, throughout the months of reviewing the RG552, there were lots of little bugs that picked at me. For example, some games wouldn't run, some would crash quite frequently, and the touchscreen wouldn't work on the Linux OS, and the OS would just randomly increase audio levels when restarting or putting it into sleep mode. These are all very nitpicky problems, but I like to review these things from the average consumer's perspective. If you want to get the RG552 to a reliable, flawless state, then it will require hours of tinkering and many stressful days getting it to where you want it. And for me, on a $230 handheld, this shouldn't be the case. It's as if Ambernic are expecting the community to sort their problems out, and as mentioned in other videos, that this is becoming the norm because Ambernic and other handheld manufacturers are just getting damn right lazy with their products. But once you've set everything up, grew some grey hairs and sieved through the different forums, the RG552 does have some power behind the wheel. Most consoles run really well on this thing thanks to the 6 cores and 4GB of RAM. For example, N64 was a pleasure to play on, PlayStation 1 games felt organic on such a large screen, and even heavier Dreamcast games worked impressively well too, even if I had to map the keys for most of these consoles before I started. The extra screen real estate helped with providing a better gaming experience for sure, and the analog sticks were naturally positioned to keep it somewhat fresh and modern. After this, I then decided to jump into PSP emulation when I was mildly disappointed with the performance overall. One of the only retro emulators on this device that uses the 16:9 screen was unfortunately not doing so good. I found PSP emulation hit and miss with some games, so take that into consideration if you're thinking of buying the RG552. When gaming for a while also, I did notice that the battery life isn't as good as what was stated on their website. I was getting around 4 hours on one full charge. I guess this is because of the bigger screen and the internal fans trying to keep up with the hot RK3399 processor. But, you know, battery life 4 hours, I know what you're thinking, wow Brandon, you haven't said much good things about this handheld, and you're right, I haven't, and that's because I have been lucky enough to review the Odin and the Retroid Pocket 2 before it, and those two handhelds have really impressed me and are moving the handheld scene forward with innovation, whereas I feel the RG552 just feels like a very mediocre handheld with little to no innovation whatsoever. This is a handheld for someone who wants to play around with emulator settings to squeeze out its full potential, and for someone who collects Ambernic handhelds. The Retroid Pocket 2 Plus is a $99 handheld that can emulate everything this can, and the A Odin is just $60 more and comes with superb build quality, a better screen, flared shoulder buttons, LED lighting, and PS2 emulation. The RG552 has entered the mid-range category a bit too early and shows obvious growing pains due to it being rushed out of the door to get sales before the big dogs. It's a shame, really, because Ambernic has produced some incredible handhelds in the past. I'm hoping the RG552 is a bit of an anomaly, and that they start producing some incredible little handhelds again, but from what I have heard, it looks like Ambernic are trying to tackle the bigger handhelds, which I think is the wrong route for them, as there's some very impressive competition out there. You know what I want? I want Ambernic to focus on the pocket-friendly niche and really own that category of handhelds, because we've seen them do it for years now. And I really do think if they keep the production quality like they've done on the RG351P in that niche, they could really do some pretty impressive sales. But the RG552 at $230 is just way too much to be spending on a very averaged, unfinished handheld. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this. I was going to say review, but it's more of a rant in all honesty. There is a link below if you want to pick up the RG552, but for now I recommend not doing so because there's plenty of better, cheaper and more powerful handhelds out there that I suggest going for. Check out the Retroid Pocket 2 Plus if you're looking at $100 as your budget, or if you're up to $300, check out the Odin handheld review that we've recently published. As per usual, thanks for watching, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Wow.